In 2019 in Mozambique, we had some pretty serious climate-related shocks. So we had the big cyclone Idai, which a lot of people have heard of, that really plagued the central region of Mozambique and led to widespread destruction. There's an immediate need for support in terms of food items. We took a hard look at what the market had at that point in time, and we started to see, kits that were being imported from other countries abroad. I mean, this is really just totally ruining the private sector and totally ruining the thin private sector that exists and its ability to support the market in which it operates. So what if we just subbed out the external importation component of things that are coming from abroad and just say, okay, let's plug in the local. We have that here, right? So this is how these input trade fairs were born, whereby we are directly injecting the money in a post-disaster context into local private sector actors and incentivizing simultaneously local private sector to also understand what are the needs in the face of these natural shocks, in the face of these rural farms. What do they actually need now? We have an understanding of these actors in part because we've been working with them over the past decade. So we already know who the active companies are, and we really want to work with those folks that are already in those districts, that are already present, that know their clients. The people that come to these fairs are not just individuals that have been identified out of the blue. No, we know these folks. We work with these folks. All of the 18,000 farmers in the case of these last cycle of fairs that we just closed out, they all participate in rural field schools. So in farmer field schools that we've designed and tailored to the Mozambique context. And apart from disseminating production and post-harvest technologies and practices in these rural field schools, we also are really focused on the business side of things. The beneficiaries are informed in these rural field schools of what the cost of improved inputs is and what the utility of these improved inputs are, because we have demo plots and we show that these people are going into the fair knowing what they want to buy. They have a clear sense of what they want to buy. That person that is coming into the fair, he already knows that I'm going to receive at this point in time $40 or $50 worth of purchasing power to purchase inputs for the cool season or for the main agrarian season. A smallholder farmer to purchase improved inputs needs to go to a provincial capital. It is incredibly difficult for you to get access to those inputs. And so what we're trying to do as IDE is also, okay, sure, give these inputs to these farmers and make sure that they're adopting those good agricultural practices and know how to use these things, but also for the private sector saying to them, hey, look, like these people actually really want your product. You need to know your end user. And right now they don't know it. And we bring them to the rural field schools in the areas where they have stores. And we say to them, come do marketing and field days, market your product, showcase your product. You speak to your end user. Because when the day of the fair comes, he's going to remember, oh yeah, what's that company called again that came to my area? And so it's almost bringing elements of familiarity. The fairs are incredibly innovative because you can't just go down the road. We're taking a long-term vision to this, and we're looking not only at the needs of the households that have been displaced as a result of these climate-related shocks, but we're also looking at the needs of private sector as well. And private sector needs to also know how to pivot, how to adapt, and how to respond to those needs as well. So IDE is that honest broker. We're that middleman. We're that person in between that can kind of link the private sector and improve their businesses and their knowledge of the context in which they operate, so that tomorrow IDE is made redundant and we're not there. The private sector is able to support the smallholder farmers in the last mile.